announcement. Yes. Honourable Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, it is with sadness that we have learned of the demise of Mr. Louis Percy Lafrance, a former Member of Parliament. Mr. Percy Lafrance passed away on the 25th of April of this year at the age of 70. Mr. Lafrance first stood as a candidate in the 1982 general elections for the Legislative Assembly under the banner of the MMM-PSM for the constituency number 17, and he was returned as second member of the said constituency. Mr. Percy Lafrance then contested the 1983 Legislative Assembly general elections under the banner of the Mouvement Militant Mauricien for the same constituency, Curepipe Midlands, but was not returned. In April of 1984, when late France Canabadi resigned from Parliament, Mr. Lafrance replaced him as a best loser. In 1985, Mr. Percy Lafrance served as mayor of Curepipe. In August 1987, he stood for the general elections for the same constituency, that is Curepipe and Midlands, under the banner of l'Union MMM-MTD-FTS, but he was not returned. He, however, continued to do social work for the Mouvement Chrétien pour le Socialisme, of which he was an active member since the 70s. With these words, Madam Speaker, may I request you to kindly direct the clerk to convey the profound condolences of the Assembly to the bereaved family. Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Yes, Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, on behalf of the Opposition, I fully associate myself to the tribute paid by the Honourable Prime Minister to late Mr. Louis Percy Lafrance. Madam Speaker, may I kindly request you to direct the Clerk of the National Assembly to convey our deep condolences to the bereaved family. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Leader. Honourable members, I associate myself with a tribute paid to the memory of late Mr. Louis Percy Lafrance, former Member of Parliament, by the Honourable Prime Minister and the Honourable Leader of the Opposition, and I direct the Clerk to convey the deep condolences of the Assembly to the bereaved family.
Papers have been laid. Questions?
Yes. Yes, Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I've given notice of the following private notice question addressed to the Honourable Minister of Commerce and Consumer Protection. Whether in regard to the open international bidding exercise for the supply of fuel oil launched on 10th December 2024, we will, for the benefit of the House, obtain from the State Trading Corporation the list of bidders who participated therein, indicating the A, name of the successful bidder, and B, fuel grade supplied to the Central Electricity Board since December 2024 to date, and in each case, Roman 1 gave a breakdown in terms of product costs, freight and insurance, and Roman 2 indicate the premium paid per metric ton charged by the supplier and the total amount paid over that period by the CB and the total amount of premium paid by the CB to the STC per consignment supplied since January 2026 to date, indicating whether any revision thereof has been applied. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Yes, Minister.
Madam Speaker, before replying to the specific parts of the question, I wish to inform the House that the State Trading Corporation is responsible for the procurement of fuel oils required for national needs, including supplies for the Central Electricity Board, for electricity generation, and to local industries. Fuel oil contracts are normally awarded on an annual basis, generally for the period 1st April to 31st of March of the following year, so as to ensure continuity of supply, competitive pricing, and orderly planning of national requirements. I am informed that the annual contractual requirement for the period concerned covered approximately 100,000 metric tons of the three principal grades of fuel oils, namely HSFO 180cc, mainly for inland trade and industrial use, HSFO 180SR for electricity generation, and HSFO 380SR for electricity generation. Provision is also made for the optional procurement of VLSFO 180 CST on an as-needed basis for bunkering purposes. Madam Speaker, with regard to Part A of the question, I am informed that the initial annual contract for the supply of fuel oil for the period 1st April 2024 to 31st March 2025 was launched through an open international bidding exercise on 5th January 2024 through the government e-procurement system. Following evaluation of bids by the Bid Evaluation Committee, recommendation was made in favor of Coral Energy DMCC being the substantially responsive bidder. The board of the STC approved the award on 31st January 2024, and the then government was apprised thereof on 9 February 2024, and the formal agreement was signed on 27 February 2024 after submission of a $5 million USD performance security by the supplier. The agreed premium under that annual contract was $69.80 USD per metric ton for the principal grades of fuel oil on a delivery at port basis. I am further informed that on 26 July 2024, Coral Energy DMCC notified the STC that its corporate legal name had changed.
One moment. Are you raising on a point of order?
Yes, please. My PNQ refers to the open international bidding exercise on 10th December 2024, not July or whatever.
Madam Speaker, I need to explain this so that people in the House can understand. I'm almost finished. Almost finished. I just need 1 minute.
May I just give it a...
After submission of a
Minister.
$5 million USD performance security.
Reply to his question and then
I'm
you
coming.
can qualify.
I'm coming. The agreed premium under that annual contract was $69.80 USD per metric ton for the principal grades of fuel oil on a delivery at port basis.
Minister,
Okay. No, don't worry. I will have plenty of time to come.
both.
Yeah.
Yes, you have to have a look at the time, please,
Yes.
Minister.
I have enough time. My answer is very short today.
Okay. Today you're going to be short.
Yes. So, the agreed premium under the annual contract was $69.80 per metric ton USD for the principal grades of fuel oil on a delivery at port basis. I'm further informed that on 26 July, Coral Energy DMCC notified the STC that its corporate legal name had changed to Two Rivers DMCC. People need to know why Two Rivers DMCC won the contract, of which the board of STC subsequently took note. As at 19 December 2024, 8 consignments had already been delivered under the contract, totaling 36,072 metric ton HSFO 180cc, 97,244 metric tons HSFO 180 SR, 99,461 metric tons of HSFO 380 SR. There nevertheless remain contractual balances still to be supplied. However, difficulties arose as from 17th December 2024, when the STC became aware of a public announcement by the United Kingdom authorities indicating sanctions against Two Rivers DMCC. The STC immediately sought clarification from the supplier and requested confirmation regarding its ability to continue deliveries. Thereafter, on 19th December 2024, the supplier informed the STC that due to banking compliance constraints linked to the sanctions, it was not in a position to proceed with further supplies and payments and proposed termination of the contract. People need to know this. Madam Speaker, in view of the strategic importance of fuel oil, used mainly for electricity generation, the matter was examined urgently and it was decided to proceed with an emergency procurement exercise to secure supplies and avoid disruption. At that time, available national stock levels were reported to represent approximately 61 days for FO180 SR for the CEB, 59 days for FO380 SR for the CEB, and 32 days for HSFO 180cc for inland trade. Although emergency procurement provision allowed procurement from a single supplier in case of urgency, the STC nevertheless sought quotations from a number of established operators active in the petroleum sector so as to obtain competitive offers. The emergency procurement exercise was accordingly initiated on 19th December for the replacement supply of the remaining 3 consignments which had not been delivered under the existing contract. The objective was to ensure that there would be no interruption in the availability of fuel oil required for electricity generation and industrial activity while preserving adequate buffer stocks at national level. Given the urgency of the matter, the procurement process was undertaken on an accelerated basis so that replacement deliveries could be arranged at the earliest opportunity. Targeted arrival of the first emergency consignment was around 20th January 2025, having regard to normal shipping lead times and logistical requirements. Invitations were sent to several potential suppliers, including entities such as OQ Trading Limited, Vitol Bahrain EC, BB Energy Gulf Limited, Saudi Aramco, Sahara Energy Resource Limited, Bunker One, Peninsula Petroleum Mauritius Limited, and Stonewind Capital LP. At bid opening held on 20th December 2024, 4 bids were received, namely from Aramco Trading Fujairah FZE, Vitol Bahrain EC, BB Energy Gulf DMCC, and Sahara Energy Resource Limited. Following evaluation, the bids were ranked and Sahara Energy Resource Limited emerged as the lowest substantially responsive bidder. Management thereafter requested the bidder to review its prices downward, following which revised premium were obtained as follows. HSFO 180cc, 91.9 USD per metric ton. HSFO 180 SR, 97.9 USD per metric ton. HSFO 380 SR, 86.4 USD per metric ton. The emergency contract covered approximately 29,000 metric tons for one immediate shipment, comprising 3,500 metric tons of HSFO 180cc, 13,500 metric tons of HSFO 180 SR, 12,000 metric tons of HSFO 380 SR. The total premium value was estimated at 2,680,100 USD, while the overall consignment based on the applicable Platts posting was estimated at that time at approximately 15.05 million USD. I am further informed that a second emergency procurement exercise was done in 23rd December 2024 for the supply of fuel oil for the period February and March 2025. All the above-mentioned suppliers were again invited to participate through a procurement exercise, and 4 bids were again received. The emergency contract for 2 shipments of fuel oils in this exercise was awarded to Sahara Energy Resources Limited at the following premium rate. HSFO 180cc, 7,000 metric tons at 78.02 USD per metric ton. HSFO 180SR, 28,000 metric tons at 84.55 USD per metric ton. HSFO 380SR, 25,000 at 72.25 USD per metric ton. The interim arrangement enabled continuity of supply pending the commencement of the next annual contract and ensured that the operational requirements of the Central Electricity Board and local industries continued to be met without disruption. Madam Speaker, it is to be noted that Sahara Energy Resource Limited was at that point in time the STC suppliers of white oils and had successfully delivered consignments to the satisfaction of the corporation. Thereafter, in parallel with the temporary emergency arrangement, the STC proceeded with a separate open international bidding exercise for the next annual requirement covering the 1st April 2025 to 31st of March 2026, so as to restore supply under a regular competitive contractual framework. The bidding exercise was launched on 10th December 2024. At the opening of bids held on 16th January 2025, 5 bids were received from international suppliers and were examined in accordance with the prescribed technical, commercial, and contractual criteria. Following completion of the evaluation process, recommendation made in favor of Sahara Energy Resource Limited being the lowest substantially responsive bidder. The Board of STC approved the award on 12 February 2025. I am informed that the contract covered 340,000 metric tons of fuel oils for the annual period concerned. The estimated premium component for the 3 principal grades of fuel oils was approximately 20.99 million USD. As part of its due diligence exercise, the STC also carried out verifications on the successful bidder, including checks against ineligibility lists of major international financial institutions and confirmation regarding sourcing arrangement and compliance with applicable sanction clauses. Madam Speaker, as regards Part B1 of the question, I am informed that the price payable by the STC for each consignment generally comprises 2 main components. 1, the prevailing international benchmark price of a petroleum product based on the applicable market reference quotation, and 2, the contractual premium quoted by the successful supplier. The premium is an all-inclusive supply and logistic components. It generally covers freight, marine insurance, supplier's margin, loading and discharge port charges, deviation costs, bankers, tank cleaning, security charges where applicable, financing and operational risks, as well as delivery to Mauritius on a DAP basis. As regards for Part B2, under the annual contract awarded to Sahara Energy Resource Limited for the period 1st April 2025 to 31st of March 2026, the premium rates were as follows. HSFO 180SR 78.04 USD per metric ton, HSFO 380SR 68.74 USD per metric ton. I wish to draw the attention of the House that the contract agreement was tabled on 14th of April 2026. Madam Speaker, as regards for Part B3 of the question, I am informed that on 23rd January 2023, an agreement was signed between the State Trading Corporation and the Central Electricity Board for the sale of fuel oil, namely HSFO 180.
I can't see B3. I can't see B3.
B2, sorry.
B2,
B2,
okay.
sorry. may change the question. So,
Yeah.
namely HSFO 180SR and HSFO 380SR for the period covering 1st February 2023 to 31st January 2026. I am further informed that under the provisions of that agreement, the quantities, product specification and premium chargeable to the CB are reviewed annually through an addendum signed by both parties. The standing agreement was subsequently extended to 31st of March 2026 by way of an addendum. It is also to be highlighted that the premium chargeable to the CB for both grades of fuel oil includes the premium payable by the STC to its supplier, together with administrative and other operating expenses incurred for the importation of the product and delivery of the same to the CB's shore tanks. For sales period covering 1st April 2025 to 31st of March 2026, the total premium chargeable to CB for HSFO 180SR was worked out at 99.39 USD per metric ton, comprising the supplier's premium of 0.04 USD, a survey fee of 15 cents USD, a contingency fee of 620 USD, and an administrative fee of $7. For HSFO 380, the total premium chargeable to CB was worked out at 82.09 USD per metric ton, comprising the supplier's premium 68.74 USD, a survey fee of 15 cents USD, a contingency fee of 620 USD, and an administrative fee of $7. I am further informed that the contingency component covers risks and costs associated with the importation of fuel oil, including shifting charges, compensation for off-specifications products, contribution to the International Oil Pollution Compensation Fund, and other related risks. No margin is charged by the SCC to the CB. Madam Speaker, as regards for Part C, the information requested consists of detailed shipment, wise figures, and premium data extracted.
There is no Part C.
Okay.
Okay.
So I will table
Please.
the different figures.
Yeah, because it's very difficult even for me, I suppose for the general public as well. Leader of the Opposition, your first supplementary question.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honourable Minister has been mostly relevant when he has replied to
Don't
my
comment.
PNQ. And I
Please
hope
come.
you give me enough
Come
time
with
to
it.
put
I will
my
give you time,
supplementary
but
questions,
no
Madam
comments,
Speaker.
please.
Madam Speaker, the actual contract with Sahara Energy Resource Limited expires end of May. And the Honourable Minister has stated that the country has secured supply for fuel oil up to the end of May 2027. Can the Honourable Minister inform the House when the tender for supply for fuel oil was launched?
Madam Speaker, there was a tender in January. However, the first two lowest bidders were not qualified because we did a due diligence on these two companies, and unfortunately we could not allocate the tender, and thereafter the war has arrived and we had to go direct as an emergency procurement. In fact, we went through the cabinet after the decision of the board of the STC.
Yes, second supplementary.
I think the Minister is getting confused, Madam Speaker. Can I ask the Minister what mode of procurement exercise was used?
We don't understand the question. Did
Madam
you?
Speaker,
Yeah?
there was a tender, and once the due diligence was made
We
and
got
it
that.
was not positive on the first two bidders, then as the war has arrived, we had to take a decision, because in the meantime, people have heard that one consignment could not
Reach.
come to Mauritius,
Yes.
and we had to supply from Singapore. And in the meantime, we launched an international tender for 48 hours, and the price was excessively very expensive, and we had to take a decision. And the price for the emergency procurement was around $200 for the premium, very expensive, and we got a better price.
Okay, third question. No comments, please.
Again, Madam Speaker, I believe the Minister is not understanding
No comments,
what I am
said.
asking him. With regard to the contract he mentioned, which was awarded on an emergency basis, may we know the duration of the contract? It starts from when and end when?
Well, the contract starts from 1st of August to 1 year. It's as simple as this. And I have to say, it is unlike the MME. MME, there was no emergency. They go direct and they decided everything in an office.
If it's first, one moment. If it's 1st of August, it can only be 25, can't it? It is so obvious. Okay, next question.
No, can I repeat my question? My question is with regard to a tender exercise starting from May 2020, this year, to May 2027. I'm not asking about August, Madam Speaker.
He's talking of 2026, this month.
Yeah.
Yes.
In fact, the previous agreement, which in fact I deposited at the House, it was over on 31st of March, and then it was extended to May.
Okay.
Yeah, that I know. Then
Okay.
my question is, May is next door, Madam Speaker. What do we do? This is my question.
Question.
I already answered this question. In fact, we went direct because of the war, and there was an emergency tender for one consignment only, and the price was excessively very high, over $200 for the premium, and we went directly. Cabinet was apprised of this.
Don't repeat in case you...
So if you went directly, Madam Speaker, can I ask the Honourable Minister to inform the House who were the persons who carried out the negotiations with the supplier, and whether the State Trading Corporation had received government's authority before starting negotiation with the supplier? And if this is the case, can he table the letter which gave the STC authority to start negotiation with the supplier?
First of all, I don't meet suppliers, unlike the previous government. It's the STC, the management team, who negotiates if need be.
You don't meet suppliers, is that what? Yes, all right. Next question.
Okay, he made reference to premium. When he replied to the question, he said that there is an increase of about 18 USD per metric ton with regard to the present contract. Can the Honourable Minister confirm whether the CB has to pay this premium in US dollar and the reasons the payment has to be made in US dollar?
First of all, the agreement which was signed between the STC and the CB, I want to ask him, who signed? Who signed?
Don't ask
Who
him.
signed? Or when was it signed? It was signed when he was Minister of Ministry of Energy. Don't.
There's 18 US
I'm
dollar
willing
increase
to
per premium.
table the agreement.
Can I then,
You can't both stand at the same time.
can the Honourable Minister confirm that under the present contract, the annual premium charges for 2 months only, from the 1st of April for 1 year, that is, represents a total amount of USD $6.5 million, which is around 305 million rupees, which the CB has to pay in US dollar? Do you find this normal, Honourable Minister?
Speaker, first of all, we would not be here today if we did not cancel the MRPL contract when the previous government, our government, in 2006, when we signed a G2G agreement with India, when the Mangalore MRPL was supplying Mauritius with a preferred price. His government, unfortunately, cancelled the contract, despite their former DPM said that it is illegal, it was illegal to cancel the contract.
You put question to him, he has to.
But he has to be relevant, Madam, in answering the questions. Madam Speaker, the present contract with Sahara Energy Resource Limited was extended for a period of 2 months, that is up to 31st May 2026. Now, given that this extension was approved, Minister, on the 9th of February, well before the Middle East conflict started, can the Honourable Minister inform the House and give reasons why no competitive tender exercise was carried out at that time for the supply of fuel oil?
There was a tender, I said, in January. However, the two lowest bidders were not approved because of due diligence.
Okay,
we are not like them. They did not do due diligence when they were in power.
Okay, we heard this twice, 3 times
I
now.
have to say because
yeah. No more on this.
I come back again to the CB. Can the Honourable Minister inform the House under which contractual clause were such adjustments authorized and was prior approval sought from the CB or the parent ministry?
There's an agreement, and I know that the Minister of Energy is not agreeable with his agreement when he was Minister. We are discussing between the two ministries, and we hope to find a solution in the coming days.
Okay.
This is a question directly to the Minister. Honourable Minister, as Minister responsible for consumer protection, did you intervene so as to reduce the rate of premium paid by the CB to the STC, as that increase will definitely impact on the cost of production of electricity, and also we know that tariffs will be increased by 15% next month.
Did you intervene, Minister?
Well, the two ministries are presently working on the agreement to see whether we can lower the different fees.
Good. I got a few more minutes for you.
So he has now intervened as Minister responsible for consumer protection, et la population va être frappée le mois prochain avec une augmentation de 15% des tarifs d'électricité, Madame la Présidente.
You're making statements.
Yeah, I have to make. Can the Honourable Minister inform the House whether STC is revising the price structure of mogas and gas oil, and whether the tax and duties rate will be revised so that to alleviate the problem of Mauritian families? Madam Speaker?
We will decide when the times come.
You decide.
Madam Speaker, I need to add an information. If they really care for the population, why, when they allocate the tender to Coral Energy DMCC, they gave the contract to Coral Energy DMCC even though the price was more expensive. At that time, it was $89 USD per metric ton, and for BB Energy Gulf DMCC was $76.56 per metric ton. Where was he?
Okay, you haven't finished?
Can the Honourable Minister inform the House whether the payment of fuel oil to Sahara Energy Resource Limited is being made in an account located in the Isle of Man?
I'm not aware because I'm not part of the management of the STC.
Okay. I want to give a question to Honourable Chief Whip. Yes?
Je vous remercie, Madame la Présidente. Je remercie le ministre pour sa réponse. Le ministre peut-il informer la Chambre les raisons pour lesquelles le contrat signé en 2006 avec la MRPL, l'une des principales raffineries de pétrole en Inde, a été annulé? Je vous remercie, Madame la Présidente.
We've heard about this, so now she's asking for reasons.
Personally, I'm not aware, but we can guess because of commission. They were after commissions, the previous government.
Okay, time is up. Time is up. Thank you, everyone. Now we go to questions. Give me a few minutes because lots of questions have been withdrawn. There are few people who are not present today. So as we go along, I will tell you. Give me a minute. For the moment, the table has been advised that PQB 493, 499, 500, 506, 507, 508, 515, 517, and 531 have been withdrawn. So now I call on the second member for Flatbourne-Accueil, Mr. Bichuk.
Yes, Madam. B494, please.
Madam Speaker, I'm informed by the Economic Development Board that Mr. SM was appointed as Deputy Chief Executive Officer on the 11th of April 2023 on a 3-year contract. This post was neither advertised internally or externally. Mr. SM was handpicked by the previous board, and the terms and conditions of his appointment were as follows: a basic monthly salary of 400,000 rupees with an annual increase of 3.2%, B, a gratuity of 20% of the annual basic salary payable at the end of each year. 3, passage benefits equivalent to 5% of the annual basic salary. And 4, a chauffeur-driven car. I'm further informed that at this meeting held on the 16th of March 2026, the Board of Directors of the EDB did not renew the contract but extended it for a further period of 1 year on the same terms and conditions. The decision to extend his contract was taken by the Board of Directors of the EDB because they felt that since the CEO of the EDB will be leaving by the end of May 2026 to take another appointment abroad, it might be better to extend his contract for a period of 1 year to ensure continuity at this important economic institution.
Yes, Mr. Bichuk?
Yes, Madam Speaker. Will the Honourable Minister tell us, Prime Minister, tell us whether the post of Deputy CEO, which is not part of the statutes of the EDB and ought to have been advertised, therefore, will he consider nullify the renewal of this contract? Because right from the beginning,
No statements?
this post was supposed to be advertised and go through job interviews, etc.
Yeah, as I said, it wasn't advertised at the time. But it's the board that decides, not me. They decided that in the name of, because of continuity, to ensure continuity, they extended the contract for 1 year. Already some months have passed.
Yes? Okay. Now I shall call on second member for Grand Bay Poudre Mr. Bijan.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. B495.
Madam Speaker, in regard to part A of the question, I'm informed by the Commissioner of Police that the cybercrime unit is headed by an officer of the rank of Assistant Superintendent of Police, who is accountable to the Deputy Commissioner of Police Crime. The unit is presently staffed with 16 other officers of different ranks, comprising another Assistant Superintendent of Police, 1 police inspector, 8 police sergeants, and 6 police constables. In regards to Part B of the question, I'm informed that for the period 1st of November 2025 to 23rd of April 2026, a total of 116 cases has been referred to the Cybercrime Unit for investigation. Out of these, 1 case has been filed before the court. 6 cases have led to arrest, with the persons concerned released on bail with conditions, and inquiring in the remaining cases are ongoing. Madam Speaker, with regard to Part C of the question, Government is aware of the existing operational constraints of the Cybercrime Unit and is taking steps to strengthen its operational capacity in view of the increasing volume and complexity of cyber-related offences. In this respect, a more integrated operational framework has been established whereby the Cybercrime Unit works in close coordination with the Police IT Unit, which provides 24/7 technical and digital forensic support for investigations. 2, this collaboration has been further enhanced through a Memorandum of Understanding signed on the 28th of January of this year between the Computer Emergency Response Team, the Mauritius Police Force, and the Data Protection Office for the operation of a digital forensic lab under the Police IT Unit. 3, training is being provided to officers through a range of international organizations and partner jurisdictions to enhance their expertise in areas such as digital forensics, cyber investigations, and emerging cyber threats. Madam Speaker, still I feel that there is room for improvement, and therefore I've asked for the assistance of the Government of India during my state visit in September of 2025. Following the request, the Minister of Information Technology, Communication and Innovation was engaged in discussion with Maharashtra Cyber, a specialized cybercrime investigation cyber security unit of the Maharashtra Police Force in India, with a view to enhancing the operational capacity of the Cybercrime Unit. In November 2025, a delegation from Maharashtra Cyber visited Mauritius, and in December 2025, a Mauritian delegation led by the Honorable Minister of Information Technology visited Mumbai to pursue further discussions with the Maharashtra Cyber Police on specific areas of cooperation. However, after looking at their proposal, I have decided to deal directly with Delhi. These engagements have led to ongoing structured discussions focusing on key strategic areas of collaboration, including the establishment of a command and control center as the centralized platform for cybercrime response, the development of enhanced digital forensic capabilities to address complex investigations, and the strengthening of the national cybercrime response mechanisms. Alongside these initiatives, and in line with the government's program of 2025-2029, the Ministry of Information Technology, Communication and Innovation is working on amendments to the Cybersecurity and Cybercrime Act to further reinforce the legal framework. These amendments will provide for an enhanced oversight and auditing of critical information infrastructure, as well as stronger safeguards for child online protection. They will also strengthen the obligations of service providers to implement robust cybersecurity measures, comply with mandatory security standards and audits, and report and respond promptly to cyber incidents and cooperate fully with investigators. Drafting instructions have already been conveyed to the Attorney General's office for the preparation of the amendment of the bill.
Thank you. Yes. The Honourable Third Member for Granby Poudre d'Or.
Thank you, Madam. B496, please.
Madam Speaker, I'm informed by the Mauritius Revenue Authority that as at March 31st of March 2026, the total amount of tax revenue outstanding at the level of the authority amounted to some 25.7 billion rupees. The breakdown is as follows: 14.9 billion under corporate income tax, 7.1 billion under value-added tax, 2.8 billion under personal income tax, 352 million under betting and gaming taxes, 254 million under tax deduction at source, and 249 million under other taxes collected by the MRA. In addition, an amount of 615 million was due under the Contribution Sociale Généralisée, and it has not been paid. With regard to Part A of the question, the main reasons for the accumulation of tax arrears include A, taxpayers filing returns without paying the full amount of the tax payable, B, unpaid tax on assessments raised by the MRA on taxpayers for under-declaration or non-declaration of income, C, cases under objections or appeal having been determined but where the tax due has not been fully paid, and 4, penalty and interest payable on tax due to the MRA. I'm further informed, Madam Speaker, that the amount outstanding under corporate tax includes the case of Avago Technologies Trading Limited, where the tax payable is around 6.6 billion rupees. This amount has become payable under the determination made by the Assessment Review Committee in regard to this case. However, the taxpayer has subsequently appealed to the Supreme Court without paying the tax due. Recovery actions have been initiated by the MRA or under dispute at the moment at the Supreme Court. With regard to Part B of the question, the MRA has informed that it has a specialized unit, namely the Debt Management Unit, which is responsible for the recovery of arrears. This unit uses the various powers conferred to the MRA under the Mauritius Revenue Authority Act to recover tax debts. The most common and effective recovery powers are attachment orders on bank accounts and inscription on immovable property. Where the bank accounts of a debtor are frozen, the banks are required to remit the money in those accounts to the MRA to clear the tax debts. In cases where the debt exceeds 200,000 rupees, an inscription on immovable properties of the debtors is systematically taken. Madam Speaker, with a view to speed up the recovery of the amount of tax due, government has in the last budget renewed the tax arrears settlement scheme, giving taxpayers a waiver of penalties and interest if the total amount of tax is paid. Additionally, 2 new schemes, namely the tax dispute settlement scheme and the voluntary disclosure settlement scheme, were also put in place to improve tax compliance. A total amount of 2.27 billion rupees has been collected under the 3 schemes up to March of 2026. I'm further informed that the MRA is currently working on new ways and means to speed up recovery of tax arrears. In this context, the MRA has already deployed more human resources to its debt management unit. The MRA is coming up with additional mechanisms with a view to accelerating the recovery of outstanding amounts.
Yes, Mr. Dwaria, fine. Okay, now we have the Honourable First Member for Piton, Rivière-du-Rempart.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question 497.
Thank you.
Madam Speaker, I'm informed by the Commissioner of Prisons that all detainees are systematically searched upon their return from court. From the 1st of January 2023 to the 23rd of April 2026, 48 cases have been reported where prohibited items were found to be in the possession of detainees returning from court. With regard to Part A of the question, out of the 48 cases, 35 cases concerning prohibited items such as dangerous drugs, mobile phones, or SIM cards have been reported to the police for investigation as they are suspected to be linked to criminal offences. As regards to the remaining 13 cases involving prohibited items such as cigarettes, lighters, and flintstones, disciplinary actions have been taken against the detainees at the levels of the prisons department. Such actions relate to confinement in a separate cell, forfeiture of privileges or earnings, and loss of remission. Madam Speaker, in regard to Part B of the question, I'm informed by the Commissioner of Police that out of the 35 reported cases, 3 cases have been filed. 1 detainee has been charged with the offence of possession of heroin with aggravating circumstances under Section 34 and 41 of the Dangerous Drug Act. Police inquiry is ongoing on the remaining cases.
Thank you. Yes, Dr. Praya, you're okay? Now we have the Honourable Third Member for Port Louis South and Port Louis Central.
B498, please.
Madam Speaker, I'm informed by the Financial Crimes Commission that since the establishment of the Financial Crimes Commission in March 2024, 327 cases of alleged corruptive practices in ministries, state-owned enterprises, and parastatal bodies have been reported to the Commission. The House may wish to note that the Financial Crimes Commission also took over 136 cases of alleged corruptive practices from the defunct Independent Commission Against Corruption. In regards to Part A of the question, the Financial Crimes Commission has informed that 204 cases are currently under investigation. In regards to Part B of the question, the Commission has informed that inquiries have been completed in 11 cases, out of which 4 cases have been referred to the Office of the DPP. 7 cases have been lodged before the Intermediate Court. In addition, convictions have been secured in 4 cases, out of which determination is awaited in 2 cases. It is also to be noted, Madam Speaker, that during the course of investigation, 248 cases were set aside as the Financial Crimes Commission determined that they do not fall within the purview of the Commission.
Thank you. Yes, one question.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. May I ask the Honourable Prime Minister whether he has any information from the Financial Crime Commission if foreign forensic auditors will be required or have recourse to in an attempt to speed up investigation for which the general public is awaiting to see that those who squandered the coffers of the state during 2014 to 2024 are taken care of.
We are having recourse to former members of Scotland Yard to help the police and the Financial Crimes Commission in this.
Thank you. Yes. Next question. Honourable Third Member for Rivière-des-Anguilles, Dr. Dario.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. B502.
Thank you.
501.
Oh, I missed Mr. Bichu. I'm so sorry. Sorry. Okay, Honourable Second Member for Blackburn-Accueil.
Yes, Madam Speaker, B501, please.
Bear with me, Miss.
Madam Speaker, I'm informed by the Financial Crimes Commission that the then Independent Commission Against Corruption initiated investigations on the procurement of turbines at a contract value of 4.2 billion rupees for the redevelopment of the Saint-Louis power station in June of 2020, based on 3 sources, namely a local press article dated the 9th of June of 2020, a referral from the Central Electricity Board, and a thirdly, a press release from the African Development Bank denouncing an alleged act of corruption in the award of the tender for the redevelopment of Saint-Louis Power Station project by the Central Electricity Board to BWSC Denmark in March of 2016. The Commission, Madam Speaker, has further informed that investigation has been completed and the matter has been transmitted to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions on the 29th of January 2026. Madam Speaker, regarding the names of the people arrested, these cannot be disclosed as the matter has been referred to the Director of Public Prosecutions for further action.
Thank you. Yes. Now it's your turn.
All right. Thank you. B502, please.
Madam Speaker, I'm informed by the Commissioner of Police that for the period of 1st of January 2024 to the 24th of April 2026, a total of 26 cases of human trafficking have been reported. Out of these, prosecution has been initiated in 4 cases, of which 3 are currently under trial and 1 has resulted in conviction. The remaining cases are still under inquiry. With the increasing number of foreign workers in the country, the scourge of human trafficking presents a growing challenge which government is addressing through the strengthened enforcement coupled with enhanced legal and institutional framework as well as preventive measures. At the policy level, the National Action Plan for 2022-2026 for combating human trafficking is being reviewed with a collaboration of the International Organization for Migration, IOM, and amendments have been brought to the Combating of Trafficking in Persons Act, TIP, to apply tougher penalties for perpetrators and enlarge the powers and investigation of the police. Some of the key operational measures already in place to combat human trafficking are as follows. First, vigilance is maintained at the airport and the harbor by the Passport and Immigration Office through vigorous screening. Around 5,330 passengers have been refused entry in Mauritius over the past 2 years for non-compliance of entry procedures and suspected irregular or unlawful intent. Second, continuous crackdown operations are carried out by the Passport and Immigration Office tracking team to search for illegal and missing foreigners to prevent them to become the prey of traffickers. Since the 1st of January 2026, around 272 crackdown operations have been carried out and 2,138 foreigners have been arrested for illegal stay. Reinforced coordination with key stakeholders, including the Ministry of Labour and Industrial Relations, the TIP Task Force of Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, the TIP Unit of the Police and Passport Immigration Office for detection of cases of human trafficking, as well as sensitization campaigns on the risks and indicators of human trafficking. And fourthly, strengthening training and capacity building of police officers, including dedicated modules and recruit courses to enhance detection, investigation, and prosecution of trafficking cases. Police officers also benefit from international training courses from the United States Department of State and the IOM on human trafficking. Madam Speaker, with regard to the protection of victims, I'm informed that comprehensive mechanisms have been put in place to ensure their safety, care, and rehabilitation. These include provision of shelter facilities for both male and female victims, access to medical and psychological support, legal assistance, and arrangements for education of minors in cases where victims are accompanied with the children. Victims are also provided with international communication facilities and, where appropriate, are safely repatriated to their country of origin. A victim-centered standard operating procedure has been implemented with the collaboration of the IOM, and key stakeholders have been trained for the referral of cases of human trafficking as well as support to the victims. Furthermore, close collaboration is maintained with NGOs operating shelters with dedicated police liaison officers, regular monitoring and necessary protection measures to ensure that victims are safeguarded and that there is no contact with alleged perpetrators. Cases of human trafficking are often complex in nature and require careful handling of victims to enable them to depone effectively before court, which is the key to securing convictions. The government remains fully committed to protecting victims and has put solid systems in place to combat this phenomenon.
Thank you. Yes, you're all right. Very good. Now, the Honourable First Member for Savane.
Thank you, Honourable. B503.
Madam Speaker, I wish to draw the attention of the House that information regarding to this question have been obtained for the Department of Civil Aviation as the regulator and Air Mauritius Limited. With regards to Part A of the question, I wish to inform the House that currently 3 airlines, namely Air Mauritius, Air India, and Indigo, operate on the Mauritius-Asia route. The destinations are New Delhi, Mumbai, Bengaluru, Chennai in India, and also Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. In addition, Air India and Malaysian Airlines have a code share agreement with Air Mauritius, connecting Mauritius with Asia. As regards to China, I'm informed that China, Southern Airlines, and Air Mauritius were operating direct flights on the Mauritius-China route. China Southern Airlines ceased operations on the 28th of November 2015, whereas Air Mauritius continued till 31st of January 2020. There is presently no direct flight between Mauritius and China, although I believe that China Southern Airlines are discussing with Air Mauritius and Civil Aviation to restart the route. I'm informed by the Department of Civil Aviation that as far as the Middle East crisis has not so far, it has not affected the operation of scheduled flights between Mauritius and Asia by Air Mauritius, Air India, and Indigo. However, the crisis has led to significant increase in jet A1 fuel prices throughout the world, and this has affected the cost of operation of Air Mauritius as well as the prices of air tickets. A committee has been set up by Air Mauritius to explore all the opportunities to mitigate the impact of rising jet A1 fuel costs. Air Mauritius is closely monitoring the situation and will take appropriate action as circumstances would warrant. Concerning Part B of the question, Madam Speaker, according to Air Mauritius, the concept of air corridor between Asia and Africa via Mauritius was implemented with effect from the 11th of March 2016. However, this concept was terminated in 2017 as there were several structural flaws which eventually led to the operations running at a loss. There is no plan to re-establish such a corridor for the time being. Air Mauritius has enlisted the services of a consulting firm to conduct a network and fleet review. Currently, Air Mauritius is embarking on a set of game-changing strategies aimed not only at improving the performance of the company, but also to build resilience in the face of emerging challenges. Air Mauritius is not immediately envisaging a strategic partnership with any airline at this stage, but they are looking at it.
Yes, you're okay? Right. Again, the Honourable Second Member for Flag-Bonacay. Very popular today.
B504, please.
Madam Speaker, at the launch of the Mauritius-India business meeting last September in Mumbai, I had announced the setting up of a special economic zone in Mauritius. This SEZ would have world-class facilities for excellence in IT, artificial intelligence, high-tech manufacturing, and other transformative investment. The SEZ at Côte d'Or, being developed on 83 arpents of land, will be a premier innovation-driven zone for businesses that define the economy of the future. The setting up of the SEZ is part of our strategy for economic renewal and transition to a new economic model which is investment-driven. Through this zone, government is laying the foundation for a new pillar which will promote technology, a technology-driven economy. During my visit to India in February 2026, at the India AI Impact Summit of 2026, I appealed to the business community to avail of the facilities under the SEZ to make Mauritius a trusted digital gateway between Africa and Asia. A steering committee has been set up to oversee implementation of the SEZ and to ensure that the necessary ecosystem is put in place to attract high net worth investors. This committee is chaired by the Financial Secretary and comprises representatives of the relevant ministries and institutions. It is working on all aspects of the SEZ implementation, including the development of an incentive framework for the zone. Madam Speaker, with regard to Part A of the question, the Steering Committee has recommended a package of incentives to attract investors in the SEZ. The proposed package will be offered under a new scheme. The scheme will also be available for the development of similar approved zones across the country. The package covers both fiscal and non-fiscal incentives and has been developed based on a benchmarking exercise of incentives being offered by other similar SEZs across the world. The holders of the proposed Golden Visa will be able to participate in the new scheme and benefit from the package of incentives. Once approved by Cabinet, the details of the incentive package will be made public. Madam Speaker, we're ensuring that the package of incentives will be comprehensive enough to cater for the needs of different categories of investors in the zone. With regard to Part B of the question, SEZ at Côte d'Or will be fully serviced with infrastructure which include roads, electricity and water, as well as wastewater by December of this year. This will require an investment of around 1 billion rupees, out of which government is financing some 882 million rupees. The remaining investment will be made by Landscope Mauritius Limited. With regards to Part C of the question, the SEZ will be a transformative, game-changing opportunity that will drive the next wave of investment in Mauritius and strengthen the country's global economic positioning. It will also provide the opportunity to position Mauritius as a safe and stable investment jurisdiction in the midst of the pervading uncertainties at the international level. It will support economic diversification, enabling Mauritius to transition into a hub for AI, advanced technology, and manufacturing. International experience shows that the special economic zones are proven catalysts for FDI, for job creation, and economic growth. Being the first AI-focused SEZ in the region, Mauritius is well positioned to emerge as the leader in AI innovation and data-driven economy. This will enable a structural shift from traditional sectors to knowledge-based and innovation-driven industries, enhancing global competitiveness. The SEZ aims to attract leading global technology companies and AI data and disaster recovery centers, positioning Mauritius are the producer and exporter of AI services and not just being a consumer. In terms of employment, the SEZ is expected to generate high-value jobs in targeted sectors. At this point, Madam Speaker, we're in the process of launching an expression of interest, inviting investors to invest in the SEZ. We will be in a better position to assess the level of foreign direct investment and the impact on job creation from the SEZ after this exercise.
Yes, thank you. The Honourable First Member for Vacqua-Floréal.
B505.
Madam Speaker, with your permission, I will reply to the parliamentary question B505 and B511 together as they relate to the same subject matter. As I previously stated in the August Assembly, the government and the new administration of the Bank of Mauritius have implemented a series of measures to rectify the chaotic situation that prevailed in the domestic foreign exchange market prior to November 2024. A pronounced mismatch between demand and supply has led to substantial shortages of foreign currency on the local market. Let me remind the House some of the key measures taken. First, the repo rate was raised by 50 point basis by 4.5% per annum in February of 2025. Second, instructions were given to commercial banks to ensure that all dealings in foreign exchange, including swaps and other derivatives, are effected through financial institutions duly licensed by the bank. Third, the bank enforced stricter control on intercompany transactions in foreign currencies as well as swaps and other derivatives. Fourth, banks are instructed to ensure that forward transactions are priced in a fair manner and in accordance with market fundamentals. And fifth, the regulatory arbitrage between the Financial Services Commission and the Bank of Mauritius regarding the purchase and sale of forex by treasury management companies was discontinued. At the level of government, Madam Speaker, we have reinforced these efforts through structural measures aimed at increasing foreign currency inflows. These including, one, requiring at least 85% of proceeds from the sale of villas under the Property Development Scheme be converted into rupees, and B, mandating that the businesses earning at least 50% of the turnover in foreign currency pay their tax in full in foreign currency. In addition, the introduction of the fee of €3 per night per tourist, effective as the 1st of January 2025, has helped to ease the foreign exchange shortage. As a result of these measures, Madam Speaker, I'm informed by the Bank of Mauritius that conditions in the domestic exchange rate have improved. In 2025, both purchases and sales of foreign currency by banks and foreign exchange dealers reached historically high levels, reflecting increased market activity and a notable easing of liquidity constraints in the forex markets. A similar positive momentum has been observed since the start of this year. Transactions in foreign currency by banks and foreign exchange dealers have increased by around 11% from the beginning of the year up to 22nd of April 2026. This reflects a continuing strengthening of activity and confidence in the foreign exchange market. As market conditions have improved, the Bank of Mauritius has had to intervene to a lesser extent in the foreign exchange market in 2025. The bank sold $224 million on the forex market during the year, compared to $372.3 million in 2024. This reduction in the volume of sale reflects the gradual easing of pressures in the market. The trend has continued into 2026, with the bank selling $40 million on the domestic market from January to 23rd of April of 2026. I'm further informed by the Bank of Mauritius that the sales of US dollars in the market were sourced from official currency, foreign currency reserves at the Bank of Mauritius. The situation, Madam Speaker, is improving, especially in view of the overall surplus in the balance of payments. The combined effort of raising the key rate, enhancing regulation, targeted interventions, and structural measures have led to better liquidity conditions and increased supplies of foreign exchange. The Bank of Mauritius is continuously monitoring developments in the market and is having monthly meetings with the treasurers of banks through the Mauritius Financial Market Committee. The bank stands ready to take appropriate actions as may be required to ensure an adequate and orderly supply of foreign currency.
Yes. One question, because time is up. Yes.
Est-ce qu'il pourrait nous donner plus de détails sur la provenance des devises des réserves?
I have all the details of the provenance, but from the Bank of Mauritius, but I can look into the matter. But I know, as I said, some measures have been taken. For example, on property, they have to pay now in rupees. This is increasing. Also, the €3 for the tourists, this also is coming to the foreign reserve.
Okay, time is up now. Time is up. I have to inform you that B514 has been withdrawn. So now we go to questions to ministers. The Honourable Third Member for Flack and Bon Accueil, Mr. Ramkelawal.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. B518.
Madam Speaker, I wish to thank the Honourable Member for this question, which is of national importance. Let us be clear, when we speak of synthetic drugs in our schools, we are not discussing mere statistics. We are discussing of a genuine predatory threat which spares almost no one, be they children or adults. Based on the records of my ministry, between 2016 and March 2026, we have identified 80 suspected cases across our state and private secondary schools. Each of these cases was immediately handed over to the police authorities for rigorous investigation as per the established protocol guiding heads of school. Madam Speaker, one single case is an outrage. One single case is a call to arms. My ministry does not merely remain concerned, we are engaged in an unrelenting offensive to purge this scourge from our school premises and the corridors of learning. Our strategy is built on a three-pronged shield to protect our children: fearless prevention, uncompromising deterrence, and compassionate support. Madam Speaker, regarding prevention, we are sensitizing our children through two specific school programs, namely the Get Connected program and the Rebound program. The Get Connected program targets our grade 7 and grade 8 students. This initiative builds a foundation of emotional regulation and responsible decision-making. We are strengthening the protective factors of our children before they are ever approached by a dealer. 2, the Rebound program targets our grade 10 students. We are deploying an interactive, media-driven curriculum designed to dismantle the myth of drug culture. It turns peer pressure into peer leadership. Deterrence. The safety of our school does not stop at the perimeter fence. In a high-level collaboration with the Anti-Drug Smuggling Unit and the Crime Prevention Unit, we have intensified patrols and crackdown operations. 3, psychosocial support. We recognize that substance abuse is often a cry for help. Through the National Educational Counseling Service, we have shifted from a reactive to a proactive model. We are identifying at-risk students through early behavioral markers, ensuring that intervention happens in the counselor's office and proper counseling exercise takes place with a view to protecting our children. Madam Speaker, along with the above preventive measures, we are also investing in capacity building. For instance, the school project entitled School Training, Capacity Building of Ministry of Education and Human Resources is being implemented jointly by NADEC, the National Agency for Drug Control, and the Ministry of Education and Human Resources, with the objective of strengthening leadership and professional competencies within the school system. The target audience includes rectors, deputy rectors, educators, educational psychologists, social workers, headmasters, as well as the PTA members. The implementation period of the project extends from 13th March 2026 to September 2026. Madam Speaker, the expected outcomes are: 1, improve leadership capacity among school leaders to foster safe, inclusive, and supportive learning environments with a focus on student well-being and the prevention of risk behaviors. 2, enhance ability of schools to implement evidence-based prevention strategies, promote a positive school culture, and active, engaged educators, students, and parents in sustained school development efforts. Madam Speaker, a school should be a sanctuary, a place of light, learning, and growth. We cannot win this fight alone. This requires a whole of society mobilization. We need parents to be vigilant, communities to be vocal, and enforcement to be ruthless and visible. This government will not flinch, we will not relent, and we will certainly never be complacent. We are reinforcing our sensitization campaigns, revamping our detection system, and expanding our support networks because the protection of our children is a non-negotiable priority. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yes, Mr. Ramkalawan.
Madam Speaker, may I ask the Honourable Minister to reactivate the Brigade des Mineurs, which had a major role in combating substance abuse in schools?
Ça ne relève pas de lui, ça relève du ministère du genre.
Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the Honourable Member that we are actually working under the chairmanship of the Attorney General on what we call children in conflict with law. And in that committee, we are going to bring that suggestion and see what would be the way forward.
Okay. Noted. Yes, Dr. Amir?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. May I ask the Honourable Minister whether his ministry has noted if there is any relationship between the consumption of synthetic drugs in those secondary schools and the possession of offensive weapons as has been depicted recently?
I thank the Honourable Member. Definitely we are going to look into that matter. Perhaps we do not have evidence-based data as of now. Definitely this is going to be an area that we need to ponder. We need to carry out investigation in that in order to have reliable data, in order to take informed decisions in the future.
Thank you. Dr. Amir, it's your question now.
Yeah. B519.
Madam Speaker, Section 5.1 of the Law Practitioners Disciplinary Proceedings Act of 2025 provides that the Law Practitioners Complaints Commission shall consist of a chairperson, 2 vice-chairpersons, and 9 other members. Section 5.3a of the Act further provides this shall be an appointment committee that shall decide on the nomination of the chairperson, vice-chairpersons of the Complaints Commission. The appointment committee, composed of myself as Attorney General, Mr. Antoine Domingue, Senior Counsel as Chairperson of the Bar, Mr. Dave Buluki, President of the Law Society, and Mr. Patrice Avril, Chairperson of the Chamber of Notaries, has decided to nominate former Chief Justice Marc-France Eddy Balancy, GESK, as Chairperson, and former Judge Jacques-Benjamin Gérard Marie-Joseph, and Mr. Kritananda Nagi Reddy, former Assistant Solicitor General at the Attorney General's Office, as Vice Chairpersons of the Complaints Commission. Section 3b of the Act further provides that where the chairperson and vice chairpersons are nominated by that appointment committee, the Attorney General shall appoint them. The above named have been contacted and are agreeable to serve as members of that commission. The 9 other members of the Complaints Commission who have been nominated by their respective associations are as follows. For the Bar, Mr. Yusuf Assam Abubakar, Senior Counsel, Mr. Subhash Chandralala, Senior Counsel, and Mrs. Varuna Roy Banwari. For the Chamber of Notaries, Mr. Patrice Avrillon, Mrs. Bibi Soalika Jagan, and Mrs. Kunavati Goria. And for the Law Society, Mr. Bibakar Rampotab, Senior Attorney, Mrs. Aisha Jua, Senior Attorney, and Navin Rama. However, Madam Speaker, the chairperson and the vice chairpersons have not as yet been appointed by myself, as there are some other issues that need to be finalized before the Complaints Commission becomes fully operational. As the House knows, under Section 7.2 of the Act, there is provision that there shall be a secretary to the Complaints Commission who shall be a public officer. I wish to inform the House that I have liaised with the Honourable Chief Justice so that a senior court officer be appointed as the Secretary of the Complaints Commission. The Chief Justice has agreed in principle to the suggestion, and we have already earmarked the person that will be so appointed. In addition, that same Section 7 of the Act provides that other public officers will have to be designated to assist the Complaints Commission in the discharge of its functions and exercise of its powers under the Act. These persons are yet to be appointed, and I expect that these persons will be appointed as and when the chairperson and the vice chairpersons will be appointed. Furthermore, I have been on the lookout for appropriate premises to house the Complaints Commission. Several buildings have been earmarked and were visited. I wish to inform the House that the building at Codan, where the Mauritius International Arbitration Centre, the MIAC, is housed, has been identified to locate the Complaints Commission. I have personally visited the premises and met with the management of MIAC, and I have obtained their verbal agreement subject to a formal agreement being finalised. Once these administrative issues have been sorted out, I will make the necessary appointments for the chairperson and vice chairpersons of the Complaints Commission.
Thank you. Yes, one question.
Simple question. When do you expect, Honorable Attorney General, when do you expect that the Law Complaint Commission will be operational, given that there was a 30-day mandatory period between the day of enactment of the law and its start of operation? Thank you.
The member is right. The law came into operation early in January, and we are absolutely late. But administrative matters are unfortunately the order of the day in this government, and we are trying by all means to try and beat the deadline. We couldn't do it, but I hope that within 4 weeks the Complaints Commission will be up and running.
Thank you, Attorney General. Next question, Honourable Fourth Member for Rodrigue. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. B520, please.
Madam Speaker, I wish to thank Honourable Member for this question, and with your permission, I wish to recall my responses to PQ B424, B515 and B423, where I referred to the financial situation of Mauritius Post Limited. I referred to that. Madam Speaker, the MPL is indeed facing serious financial difficulties and cash flow pressures. And I am informed by MPL that for the year ending 30 June 2025, it recorded an operating loss of 282 million rupees. At the same time, shareholders' deficit stood at 1.7 billion, while the pension liability amounted to 2.6 billion rupees. Moreover, the company has fully utilized its overdraft facility of 177 million to support its day-to-day operations. Additionally, it has encashed a fixed deposit of 200 million to meet its financial obligations, amongst others. This situation is already impacting employees both in Mauritius and in Rodrigues. It is public knowledge that payment of sick leave benefits due in February 2026 was actually postponed to March 2026, which was eventually paid 3 days later than scheduled. Madam Speaker, in order to address this situation, Mauritius Post is implementing in a phased manner a series of short and medium-term strategic measures, both in Mauritius and in Rodrigues, aimed at stabilizing the organization and improving its cash flow position. In terms of human resources management, emphasis is being laid on improving productivity and efficiency through internal reorganization, capacity building, and redeployment where necessary, both in Mauritius and in Rodrigues. At the operational level, revenue-enhancing measures have been introduced, including an increase in postal tariffs, the revision of rates for postal services, and a review of commissions charged to organizations. And at the same time, the cost optimization initiatives are being pursued, such as a freeze on recruitment and promotions and tighter control over overtime payments. Furthermore, the company is accelerating the development of its e-commerce and parcel-related services through partnerships with international entities. Additional initiatives include the expansion of digital and advertising services, the rental of unused space in post offices, increased digitalization of customer interfaces, and a review of operational processes to enhance efficiency and service delivery. In conclusion, in the medium to long term, the company is also envisaging structural reforms through strategic partnerships and the exploration of new markets with a view
to diversifying its activities and ensuring its sustainability in an increasingly digitally and competitive environment. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Yes. Yes, one question.
Thank you. May I ask the Honourable Minister what is being done to address delays in the payment of salaries?
Indeed, there was a delay in the payment of salaries one time. This was a one-off event. We do not expect to have further such events recurring. However, all the measures that I've mentioned in my response are collectively contributing to ensure that such events do not recur. We are all very well aware that all post offices across the globe are undergoing serious challenges. This is why, and Mauritius is no exception, and we face the same situation. We actually deplore the omission of the previous government in terms of relooking at what Mauritius Post Office could have done back then, things that were not done. And this is why today this government is having to pay back for the omissions of the previous government. And this is very, very sad for the employees of the Mauritius Post. Really sad. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yes, Mr. Edouard. You're right, Mr. Francois.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. On behalf of the employees in Rodrigues, a basic questions to reassure them. May I ask the Honourable Minister whether those to retire soon are still eligible for the lapsing pension scheme and other retirement benefits entitlements?
Thank you for this supplementary, Honourable Member. The employment contracts of different employees for Mauritius Post stipulate different conditions of employment, and the conditions of employment are being applied as per those statutory provisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. One more.
Yes, if you allow me, as we are talking about the post service, may I ask the Honourable Minister, in relation to the post services in Rodrigues, whether he is aware of a situation prevailing at one of the sub-offices. I'll seize the opportunity to raise that at Malabar, who is no more suitable to cater for the high volume of parcels there. Will he be looking into it so that we can relocate and find a wider space for this post office at Malabar Rodrigues?
Thank you, Honourable Member. Your question actually confirms my previous statement with regards to the lack of actions and the omissions of the previous government. This, Madam Speaker, should have been taken on board much earlier. And we are experiencing an influx of parcels. We're experiencing that, which is actually positive, because this is promising to the fact that we'll be able to successfully implement the reorganization and the business review plan of Mauritius Post Limited. So certainly, we will give effect to the point raised by Honourable Member. Thank you, Madam.
You look at Point Malabar issue.
Yes, we will.
Thank you very much. On this, I will raise for 1.5 hours.